Alright, this is video number 20. We're working on the back. Let's see if we can't, and we're actually going to end up taking off some of this bandana simply because I need to round that back into a little bit more. So I'm just going to try to get some more dimension to him. Don't need a lot, need enough. Apologize, I was off the camera there. Alright, I'm going to draw that knot back there again, and I'm just going to draw little tails on this bandana. I'm going to outline them with a V-tool. There's the knot. There's the one tail. It's visually interesting if you make these tails not the same length. So just like you don't do a painting with 3 trees in a row, unless that's exactly what you're trying to emphasize is 3 trees in a row, and it's an interesting juxtaposition of shapes, colors, textures, whatever. If I have them 2 different lengths, it looks a lot better, and have one overlap the other, like the other one's tucked in behind it. Okay. So you might not be able to see that, but here's one. Let me cut for the bandana knot. Separate that. Another on the other side. We'll separate that. Across the bottom, we're going to make that a little bit rounded, but not much. We don't need much. Take off the corners and just relief cut the 2 tails. I'm not going to put a whole lot of detail on this because this is, again, just a beginner piece. So we don't need a whole lot of details on this while we're just learning how to get the form and shape down. If you're not sure what a bandana looks like, there's a lot of reference material you can find online. There's books on it. You can certainly piddle, play, and putter with the bandana, but I understand it's a defining feature of a cowboy, but it's not the only defining feature. So if you spend 3 hours painting that bandana, you might want to rethink your priorities. Okay, little cleanup there. Make a little sharper, cleaner cuts on the way I'm in. Not in a hurry, but I'm not trying to drag this out either. Alright, enough of that bandana. We've done enough of that. Let's take this down a little bit here. I don't like the way it looks real flat there. Again, if you want to make a belt, feel free to do that. If you want to make this a jacket with a vest or whatever, add your own little touches. I'm trying to show you how I do it so you can figure out how you want to do it. And if you want to do it exactly the way I do it, well, that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm not telling you I wouldn't be flattered if you tried to do the way I do it. I'm simply saying you'll probably in the long run be happier with the way you're going to do it. And so find a way to do that and make it work for you. And that way you're always looking at things from a way of how do I make it mine? How do I show my artist's expertise instead of always recreating somebody else? Okay. Take off that for the boots. Let me show you how I add details on the legs, at least some features. I'm just going to randomly cut with my gouge so it makes it look like the pants are not just straight up, straight down. Give it a few little wrinkles, add a few little cuts here. Just do some things that add some visual interest to it so people don't look at it and all they see is a straight leg pair of pants. What they see is some details. And so I'm just going to randomly make some rounded cuts in here. There ain't much of them. I don't need a whole lot. I just need some that show some visual interest. Something for the catch the eye and keep the customer looking at it, or the enjoyer of your carving. Keep them looking at what you're doing. Once I do that a little bit, it's got a few marks in there. I can come back with a V-tool and I can add a few, just a few. I don't need a lot because a little is good, but a lot's not necessarily better. Not in this case. Remember I said to also remember those in the cuff as well. You can add a few little details in the cuff, make them look like they've got a few wrinkles down in there. Don't need many, but you need, it looks good with a few. Back here in the crotch, back area of the back side on there. Okay, you could certainly sit here and do all that. Let's make this look like it's a shirt. We'll give him a double seam there with a button here and a button here. I'm just going to cut out that line and that line. Don't need to go very deep. The carving buttons is a fun little exercise to do. Figure out where you want them. Use a small gouge like this. Small gouge allows me to go in at an angle, come back in and match where the wings of that cut are. And I've cut out what looks like a button. Let me show you what I'll do with that in just a minute. Okay, smallest V-tool you got, make 4 little cuts in there. You can do this with a knife. Be certain not to pry up. You'll pop that little button out of there. But all you need are 4 little cuts up here. The indentations really is all they are. They're really just wrinkles around that button. Puckers, I guess, is what would be. It might be a better word for it. But you're just going to give it a few little puckers there to add another dimension to the buttons. Don't take much. You could even do it down here on the sleeve if you wanted to add a cuff about right here. Put a button back here where the cuff would be. You could certainly do that. there's a lot of cleanup here to do in terms of taking care of all these little cuts. I'm not going to spend time on the video doing that. You know how to do that, and if you don't, talk to some of your carving friends, people in your carving club. They'll show you how to do that if you don't know how to do that. And now if you're going to be a sandpaper kind of person, nothing wrong with that. If that's what you decide to do, just remember you want to leave some facets. And so what I want to do is I want to add some facets in here. I want to do that on the arms too. And so I get the biggest gouge. I've actually got a bigger one, but I'm going to use this one. And I'm just going to add some little touches here. He's wearing an old shirt. Those shirts are never starched and pressed. This is a cowboy, by the way. He didn't go down to Martinizing and get his shirt out for the day. It's just a nice shirt. It's got some dimension to it. You could certainly add all you wanted. We'll add some wrinkles right in there. 1, 2, 3, and then we'll go back to dimensionalizing him and giving him some texture. Whatever you do to one arm, make sure you do it to the other so that they kind of follow the same size. You don't want one arm much bigger than the other. It just don't look right. Maybe you do. Not telling you how to do your carving. Simply saying that when one arm is huge and the other is smaller, you got to wonder why. And unless there's a reason for that, and you haven't stated that in your caption or in the story you're telling with the carving, then you got to be real careful about how you do that. I'm going to add some of those dimensional facets on the back, because you know your shirt's not going to be flat either. We're just adding some dimension to it. We've done it to the legs, done it to the body. We'll add a few more out here on the front, but realize he's got an ample appetite, and so his shirt might be stretched a little tight. So you don't want a lot of wrinkles out here, simply because it takes away from the big bellied fella you've carved on. All right, we're at 13 minutes. I'm not sure in the next 2 minutes I can do the eyes, and so let's all go. We'll take a break. Come back when you're ready to do eyes. I'll have that in video number 21. But I'm going to sit here and clean this up before I do that video, simply because I want you to see what it looks like when it's completely cleaned up. But I don't want to spend a lot of time on the video doing that. I want you to do that on your own time and figure out how you're gonna clean all that up, how you're gonna make it better, and how you're gonna shine it all up. But it's just this right here. It's grabbing your tool and making cleaner cuts. So I've left a lot of these things here because I was not in a hurry, but I wasn't gonna spend time with you sitting there watching me take care of every little fuzzy. That's your responsibility. You can figure that out. But we'll just come back in here. We'll just figure out how to get all this little stuff done. And on the last video, I'll show you how to do those eyes. They're really, once you've done a few, I've heard a cowboy carver say, once you've done about 10,000 of these things, you got an idea of where you want to go. But we're going to work on the eyes, and then I'll show you how to tool hair, and then we'll basically be done with this thing. When I'm done with them, I don't do a sanding job, I do a cleanup job. My cleanup job is a rotary tool with some bristle pads in them. They got 1-inch bristle pads. They're spinning, and what it does is it massages it and gets rid of some of these stray marks, and makes it easier for you to be able to clean it up without having to spend hours and hours making sure you carve every one of those things. But anyway, we'll catch up with that on the next video. We'll do the tooling here on the scarf, on the bandana. We'll do the tooling on his mustache, maybe his sideburns and hair, and we'll do the eyes. That'll take us through. I'll see you next time. Video number 21 then. See you then.